Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my TFT patch 10.19 note rundown. Uh, Before we get started, this one's gonna be a doozy, so strap yourselves in. This one's probably gonna be covering my general thoughts about set 3, set 3.5, as well as the transition into set 4, which is this official patch. This official patch is the launch of set 4, which launches, let me go double check what date it is. September 16th on live servers, which is, I guess, tomorrow of from this recording. Anyways, I have a lot to talk about, from stuff from either prior sets and the current sets that I've played quite a bit of on TFT. And so it's gonna, or sorry, on PB, and so it's gonna be a doozy. So, anyways, welcome to Fates. TFT Fates is here alongside new champions and traits, the chosen mechanic, and new ranks this season. TFT is still the same strategy game you know and love, but the revamped roster will challenge your ability to overcome your opponents in some new, unique ways. Pay special attention to powerful tier 5 units like Set, Zillion, and Lee Sin that bend the rules of how a champion dies. The new Chosen will allow you to pick up superpowered versions of champions that can carry your team, but choose yours carefully as you can only have up to one at a time. In addition to all the gameplay changes, Fates also brings you new ways to show off your style. Let your spirits soar with 3 new dragon-themed little legends who rock out together on their own instruments, and check out the all-new Star Shards, arenas that react to your game state, and a shiny new Pass Plus, featuring exclusive little legend arenas, boons, and emotes. That's a lot to cover, so let's get into it. So anyways, here's Fates. So I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can maximize the screen sheets. Fates is completely new set, has how many origins? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 origins, and it looks like these 13 classes. I'm not gonna go too deep into these because I can really just spend forever doing this, and I really want to comment more about the general overview of the set, and the like, I guess, chosen mechanic in the new set. But these are the new units, and we'll probably talk about some of these more as I get into it. But I think this video, I really want to just talk about, or I guess this rundown, I really want to just talk about the set overall, and how do I get out of this? Hello? Okay, there we go. The cheat sheet above will give you a good idea of champions and traits in this set, but if you want to dive deep into stats, head on to one of the sites listed below. TFT Tactics, Blitz, Law Chess, TFT. I'm surprised they ended up doing this, but I guess that's cool. Oh, I get this comment all the time, Scarra, why don't you do cheat sheets anymore? Well, one, there were a lot of time and work, because they would constantly adjust like these things in PB. But the biggest thing is because I only wanted to do it because people weren't doing it in the first place. I definitely did it at the very beginning, and I got a lot of popularity off of it. And then a lot of people started doing it as well. Let's just say I influenced or a couple people, including the official Riot Games team, to do their own cheat sheets. And I thought at the point where Riot released their official cheat sheet, there really wasn't much of a point for me to do mine, because like it was essentially to be able to fill in information you weren't given anyways. Additionally, I had cheat sheets on items as well, and ever since they added into like more item combinations as well as more on-screen origins, it becomes less and less relevant to have a cheat sheet. Like you don't need it nearly as much as you did in set 1. Anyways, let's move on. So okay, before we get to Little Legends, this is a great time to stop. Let's talk set 3.5. So 3.5 was space set. Let's just call it that. Galaxy set, space set. Space set was following the highly I guess talked about or not talked about, depending on what who you ask, set 2. So set 1 was considered to be like their best set. I think the nostalgia of having a new game mode and having like really cool wacky things made set one just be very common in people's minds. I think set 1 had a lot of like problems, especially with dragons and like essentially a lot of dead items, a lot of terrible openers. But on a competitive side, on like a high level side, I think that it had a lot of problems. But it was really fun, especially as the first iteration of TFT. I think it hit a lot of the bells and whistles people were looking for in a fun auto battler. Cool. Go to set 2, and I think they swing really hard onto they go into elements. And I think from set 1 onwards, Riot realized that they need ways to get people to play more and more. So what they try to do is they try to create ways to make every game you play a little bit different. So in set 2, there were elements. Every time there could be one of 4 elements on the board. Kiana changes based on what element it is, and the hexes could be anywhere in the game. You don't know. It could be the front, could be the back, and so every game had that new experience of like, well, like what element am I gonna get, and like what Kiana am I gonna get, and like where are the elemental hexes, and like what comp do I want to play on these hexes. Alongside that, there came like a bunch of problems where like it just wasn't very interesting. That was the first set which needed overtime because the initial units healed so much that like trying to kill a Maokai or a Renekton or a Vlad would just be impossible. Like I don't think people even remember that overtime was needed because set 2 existed. Because the game itself had so many like healing mechanics early that you went to overtime almost every match, and it was disgusting. Yeah. On top of that, I think that was the first set where people realized that like it doesn't matter how well like the game is balanced. If the units aren't fun, if they have a lot of passives that are boring, like healing or just like random stats, it's not going to be an enjoyable set because people look for stuff like Draven axes being thrown and doing big chunks, or I don't know, Gnar jumping in and being able to toss everyone aside. Like people look for those big moments, and if you don't have those moments, the game kind of sucks. So I think set 2 is considered to be, generally speaking, the worst set for almost everyone I talk to. I think at a very high level competitive way side of things, when I talk to people who play that set at a high level, it actually had great balance. At some point, it had one of the best balance of any set, which is hilarious when I talk to people about that. Moving on to set 3 and set 3.5. Set 3 introduced galaxies. And this was their stick, right? They want to make every single game different. So in set 3, galaxies were the differing things. You had a 20% chance to 30% chance of getting a normal galaxy where nothing new is different, and then a 70% chance of getting wild galaxies. Like let's start with a random 4 cost. Let's have only 2 item slots. Let's take out the back row. All this random nonsense. And I think the idea wasn't terrible. I will go ahead and say that. I think they had an interesting idea and they ran with it. However, I personally didn't like it. And this is because I think the perfect world galaxies would have been great. But what happened was they weren't able to make interesting enough galaxies to kind of, I guess, appeal to me personally and a lot of people that I know. A good example is just I feel that at some point I didn't want to play 50% of the galaxies that were available. And I know talking to other people that they only wanted to play normal galaxies. And that's really depressing when you actively try to stay away from like the kind of different switch that Riot put in to try to make your games interesting. I think that's as soon as you think that, it's actively a bad thing that galaxies exist. A good example is I thought Dwarf Binary were terrible. Galactic Army on the initial iteration was really bad. They fixed that going in. I think one of the only interesting ones. Oh yeah, Medium Legends was like pretty rough. Little Legends was pretty rough too. Even though I didn't mind that one as much as other people, but it's like they tried to do a lot of like hit levers and make stuff different, and then I think they started to realize that people just don't like that. Because the gameplay experience gets like really toxic in one way, where like one comp just rules everything. Cybernetics were meta for majority of the galaxies because they were great at abusing like low items, like multiple carries, singular carries, low board space, like the whole shebang. Like whatever it was, Cybers were good at it, and Mech to a large extent dominated as well because they would be like pretty flexible into most things as well. And so like I think outside trade sector, which I thought was really interesting, forced you to like gave you a lot of free rerolls to kind of get to power up a lot earlier and make a lot of, I guess, interesting decision makings. I thought that was cool. And aside from that, I think a lot of the other ones I personally wasn't a big fan of. And so I think the Perfect World Galaxy had the potential to be great, but I don't think it was possible for them to find enough good galaxies to offset, I guess, the bad play rate of bad galaxies. On top of the fact that I think that galaxies are like kind of incredibly difficult to play around sometimes at a top level. I know a bunch of people had problems on specific galaxies where their win rates were just super low. And sure, maybe that's part of playing the game, but I think that the variance in gameplay shouldn't be that dramatic on a game by game basis. Like if you have one day where you just hit 3 galactic armies or 4 binaries in a row, it did not make you feel good. And that was probably a really bad reason why a lot of people I know didn't enjoy the set, especially going to like the end game. One final caveat on set 3 is that the legendaries, the top end legendaries mercenary, I thought was really bad. They kind of tried to make a thing where you were able to find another Lux, which Lux was pretty cool. In set 2, it had Avatar, which counted as essentially chosen from the new set where you get 2 traits in one. But they tried to do like upgrades, and they started to realize that like, well, you couldn't even play the mercenary units without upgrades, and they were impossible to balance. Either they were OP at 1 star, or OP at full upgrades, or OP at 2 star, and there was no really kind of middle ground. And so they just kind of felt like an impossible balancing decision that they just kind of had to deal with for the rest of the set. That's just one of my side notes. Anyways, going from set 3.5 and 3, it felt like a lot of people didn't really enjoy the kind of repeating, like what makes the game replayable aspect. And now we're at set 4. And set 4, this is their holy grail. They're just like, okay, how do we make the gameplay experience different? The biggest thing is like they want people to play TFT a lot. Like similar to League of Legends has a lot of different gameplay experiences. When you play League, you can play in multiple different roles, and you can kind of fail or succeed in multiple different times of the game, and you can kind of play like multiple different matchups. And so like it's always like different, I would say, in some way, shape, or form. And on top of like the dragons changing, but that's kind of small. And I think that like they're looking for that kind of depth in gameplay in TFT to make you play the game more. So they came back with the Avatar from Lux in set 2, and they put it into set 4, and they called it Chosen. So at Chosen is at any point in the game, assuming you don't have a Chosen already, you can roll a 2-star version of a unit that counts as 2 of one of its traits, whether it's 2 of the class, or 2 of the origin, with the exception toward like Ninja and like Emperor and Torment and stuff like that. And that's their replayable mechanic in this set. So off the bat, I will say I prefer Chosen to Galaxies. And because I don't think it was possible to balance Galaxies, if you had any bad Galaxies, or majority of bad Galaxies, which I thought they had about half bad Galaxies in my personal opinion, but it could have been less or more depending on who you ask. And I think that Chosen is just going to be a more fun mechanic. I'm not going to talk about the balance of high elo play because I have no idea what it's going to look like. But I think it's just more fun. And part of the reason why it's more fun is because it allows you to kind of make any champion the carry. And so your replayable experiences, like any champion or any unit can't be chosen. You can look to chase higher tier chosen. You can look to stay at just your 1 cost or 2 cost chosen. And each chosen also gets like a stat buff, like whether they get lower max mana or more of another stat. I'm not exactly sure all 4. There's like 4 or 5 different things that can be buffed about it. And I think it's really nice. One of the things they solved about this set was in set 4 is tend to see a lot more 3-stars, a lot more 3-star carries in general. Because before you really couldn't go 3 stars if you weren't already thinking about going 3 stars. But in this set, if you randomly get the Chosen, because it counts as 3 of one unit, you're already like a third of the way there to your 3-star. So especially as you start to play set 4 more and more, especially if you see on the PBE and a lot of the games that the streamers have went into, everyone has 3 stars. Because that's just kind of, I feel like, how the game is going to progress in Fates comparatively to Galaxies. Now, that brings around balance problems, like maybe 3 stars are too strong in Fates because they were balanced around Galaxy 3 stars. I think the numbers, give or take, and they might have to adjust them downwards or wherever. But I think just in general, you're going to find more 3 stars in this set. And I personally like the replayability of this set more than all others. I think another big thing in other sets that was difficult to balance was in set 2, your best board was essentially mashing together like traits, like 2 cloud here, 2 mystic here. You put in like two vanguards here and like 2 whatever here. And I think it's going from that to set 3. It's like I put in my mech, and I put in like 6 cyber. And I put in like a 6 of one thing, you know, or like capped of one thing. And it really made it so like 6 star guardians. So like you kind of thought less about mixing up your board and matching your board. And so at like a high end level, your decision making actually shrunk as opposed to got bigger and wider as you have more options to the game. Which was something they tried to solve into set 3, but I think they weren't able to hit it a lot of the time. And going to set 4, it's like you can do that more because Chosen gives you 2 of one origin or one class. It allows you to kind of think a little bit outside the box in terms of how to construct your comp. It's like, well, if I get this, I can kind of sneak in another synergy here, and I can kind of sneak in another synergy here. And sure, you'll have comps that run 6 of one type, but a lot of times, like, you'll see that they don't go for 9 version and stay on 6 and go for different synergies, and which is really interesting and something that I think they ended up potentially solving going into set 4. Like I see a lot of what they're trying to do in set 4. Now let's talk everything outside of the gameplay, which is why I wanted to stop right before we got to Little Legends. First of all, the Little Legends that they have going into the set are godlike, really, really good. Chonk, Eoshin, Umbra, they're all really, really nice. I think the theme of the last set, Galactic theme, doesn't have as much widespread appeal and thematically was a little dull when you looked at it, and aesthetically wasn't as pleasing as the FATES set, which has like the Kanmei arenas that like look really pretty, look really bright, and they react on your mouse clicks and like kind of how your stuff does. I think aesthetically this is a great set, and the Little Legends are great as well. And so them watching with all this stuff is really, really nice. Like it's something that I'm like, oh, okay, like I can recommend people buy this or buy that, and it's cute and cool. So I really liked what they did with the launch of set 4. Additionally, I like that they're able to buy star shards so that you can level up. Oh, hold on. So you can level up your favorite companion. This is their change to where like you don't have to gotcha your way around. You could just get star shards and just level up your favorite Little Legend to the one that you want now. So cool, good stuff. That's pretty much everything I have to talk about in the overview of Little Legends. But let's just or set 4. Let's just keep going and see what we want to cover. We're only like 30% of the way through these notes so far. Oh, and we were talking about arenas. So the new arenas react to your wins, losses, 3-star champions, and you can click the board to be able to affect different things. Really nice quality of life stuff going in, and they'll make people want to buy the boards more. And all the boards look nice. Like I really like this kind of Spirit Blossom Festival type of aesthetic a lot. I think I was using Kanmei the most, and I saw most people using Kanmei as well. Ranked. When Fates go live in your region, patch 10.19, you'll be able to start climbing the ladder in the set's first ranked stage. Cool. Most of you will start Fates in Iron 2. If you're in Galaxy's Diamond 1, you'll start in Iron 1. Master Plus players will start in Bronze 4. That's me, by the way. Master 0 OP. Galaxy ranked rewards will be given out on patch 10.12. Okay. People finishing 4th place or worse now gain at least 10 LP. People finishing in 5th place or worse now lose at least 10 LP, or enough to hit 0 LP. Okay. This is one of the first big changes of the set. I don't know how they're going to balance this at all. Because, like, the reason why they're doing this is they wanted to make it so that if you win, if you're above, or they wanted to make top 4 really feel like a win and bottom 4 really feel like a loss. So like when a lot of players talk about the game, finishing top 4 is a dub. To them, given a bad board state, it's gonna be doubly true now because you get at least 10 LP. I think this really only affects kind of the top of the ladder, but it's gonna make in my opinion, like 1st and 2nd and 3rd place are gonna gain so little at the top, and you're gonna lose chunks going down. And so I think overall it shouldn't have that much of a difference for casual players or players who aren't playing at the top of the ladder. And then as you go higher and higher in the ladder, it's gonna be I'm worried about I guess LP inflation because it's already kind of been inflated in set 3, and but realistically it's probably not as bad. It's probably not that bad. I'd have to see it in action before I make another kind of nod toward it, because there's a lot of things behind the scenes where this could be good, really, really good, really, really bad. Systems. Galaxies are out, chosen are in. Occasionally, we offer a chosen champion in your shop. These champions are already 2-star level. They cost 3 times their normal 1-star price and comes with some extra power. One of their traits is chosen. It counts as 2 of that trait. Also, gain 200 plus HP and a unique bonus that either 400 HP, 30% spell power, 30 AD, or 25% reduced mana cost. I will say, in almost every single situation, this is the best outcome. A lot of times, this is the best outcome. The 25% reduced mana cost means a lot, especially for a set that has, like, for champions that are tuned around specific mana costs. Their chosens are much more valuable. Things like Janna, for instance, or Yuumi are phenomenal with the thing. Anyways, the tier rolls for chosen. Essentially, what happens is you can only get 5 cost chosen at level 9. That's something to keep in mind. Also, they didn't space these, so the formatting is wrong, and that's kind of pissing me off, but I can't do anything about it. Another breakthrough is you get 2 costs at level 4. So if you pre-level early, you can get a chance of 2 costs, and at 5, you can get a chance of 3 costs chosen. So around anywhere in like stage 3-ish, you can get a chance for 3 costs chosen, and it's kind of fairly interesting. Okay. And the champions get health, spell damage, attack percentage, or mana cost reduction as follows. Honestly, this isn't that important. The mana cost reductions, these champs are champs that if you are using them to carry are going to be a little bit more important than the alternative. Cool. Let's keep going. Another big thing, the leveling goes at level 7, 8, and 9, move up. The XP to push up. What this means is that very rarely will you see people going level 8 at 4-3 every game to be able to push what they call fast 8, because it is more expensive to do so unless you have an insane gold opener. Bonus that's not random. Yeah, I know I said that. So what ends up happening is you'll probably stay at level 7 more games than not on stage 4. I think that's the biggest thing, is that your stage 4 is different, and going to level 9 is you're only like 2 or 3 people in the lobby go level 9 as opposed to 4 to 6 in set 3. So it just makes it a little bit more difficult. It means that generally speaking, your level 7 board has to be really strong. Your level 7 and 8 board, you're rerolling a lot to make sure you're hitting like a lot of upgrades on those boards to be able to, if you're trying to save up XP to be able to go up to the next level. And so it mainly this stuff just changes how stage 4 happens, or yeah, stage 4, like how much gold you have at level 7, how much gold you have pushing level 8. Consecutive shops will not repeat unbought champions. Bag odds for level 5. Okay, what is the difference here? Oh, yeah, 2 stars up to level 7 are still the same percentage amount. Yes, that is the main difference. This is probably one of the... I don't know if I like this. I actually think I really strongly dislike this. So, early game, what this line means is, let's say I have a five units, okay? And let's just say they're like 2 Nidalees, okay? 2 TFs, and a Garen. 2 Nidalee, 2 TF, and a Garen. If you choose not to buy any of those units, the next shop cannot have TFs, Garens, or Nidalee. This is a really big thing in the early game, because it allows you to kind of force, or like, a lot of times it's better not to buy units, so because you want the units that you're looking for on the comp you're trying to force early higher. So an example is, let's say you get a your first round at 1-1 or 1-2, you get 2 Moonlight, like a chosen Moonlight, and that way you want to just get Moonlight units. So whatever your shop does, whatever it has, you do not buy anything that's not Moonlight, or like a brawler that you put in your Moonlight comp. And rather than holding units and trying to go wide early to play like a lot of budget random stuff, it kind of makes it so it's better if you're looking to force to not buy champions. I think that that's kind of counterintuitive. I understand why this is the case though, because it feels bad to like throw away a unit and have it come back again. And I think it also lowers the skill a little bit because when you see a lot of players play, they'll buy out their shop and roll nonstop. You don't have to do that as much, especially if you're rolling less, because those units won't come back out anyways. And so it kind of lowered the skill ceiling a little bit of the game to kind of match the people who were able to do that very well. But yeah, I think this is like kind of a quality of life increase in the mid game, maybe the mid late game, but definitely something that I personally don't like that much in the early game. I think if someone were to run the numbers by me, it probably isn't as bad as I'm thinking. Like, it's not a big deal. You probably should still buy all these pairs that you're getting, but it kind of feels bad knowing that sometimes you just don't want specific units in your comp early, and the best thing to do is just not buy them early to go wide. Anyways, let's keep going. We're changing the rate at which some items appear in the carousel. First carousel has 65 chance of 1 of every item plus 1 random duplicate, 11 of 3 offense, 11 of 3 utility, 11 of 3% for 3 defense, 1.5% all spatulas, 0.5% all force of natures. So I don't know what the odds were before. So me looking at this, I'm just like, it's just numbers. Like, they're just showering me in numbers, and I'm just like, cool. I don't know what it looked like before. I will say the one interesting thing is it feels like there's a higher chance of getting spatulas. Like at least one spat. Like if you're bottom only, like a 1.5% chance here, a 15% chance here, 15% chance here, a 15% chance here. There is a decent chance every game that you can get 1 spat if you're the last place player or your first pick. That's the only thing I'm looking at is like there is a decent chance you're getting more spats. I think there is a less chance that you get, I guess what they call Mort Dog Carousel, which is all of 1 item component, because look, they remove the ability for that to even be possible, right? Here and here. Which I think is good, because I think that was a kind of RNG aspect in set 3 that a lot of people didn't enjoy either as well. So there's a higher chance of you getting, I think there's a higher chance of getting spats, and there's a higher chance of you getting less all of 1 item or removed. Cool. Got it. Items. Gargoyle Stoneplate replaces Swordbreaker, now gives 12 armor and MR per enemy targeting the holder. Sunfire Cape replaces red buff. Okay, so they removed red buff, which is the gunslinger item, because there's no gunslinger in this set. And they made it so that there's better defensive items with defensive items, better item combinations. So Gargoyle Stoneplate increases the value of Vest by quite a bit. It used to be Vest and Cloak. And Cloak used to be the worst item in set 3. If you started Cloak, people would laugh at you. Like, you'd feel bad. You were made fun of. In this set, Cloak is actually pretty nice, especially when you're able to have Stoneplate as another option to be able to build early. Like, so anything that you can slam early and have it generate value throughout the game, it means that increases how important the item is to get early. Needlessly large rod goes down. Blessed Thirster goes down. Child's duration is 20 seconds all around. I didn't even know it had a 20-second duration. Declaw MR goes up. Giant Slayer goes down, up for bonus, down for normal. Rage Blade stacks go up. Gunblade goes down. IE. Oh, Jewel Gatling crit damage goes from 30 to 50%, so the IE Jewel Gatling combo is really nuts. Quicksilver goes up in duration. Hurricane bolts can now crit, and the bolts have unlimited range. This is actually really important here. So sometimes it really sucked if you're playing like a Shojin user with Hurricane, or you're playing like a sniper, where because the opposing units were outside of your range, you wouldn't be able to get bolts out there, and you wouldn't either generate more mana, or you wouldn't be able to apply like more damage or more on hits. That's why like RFC plus Hurricane was able to allow you to cover the whole board, so you'd always hit stuff. And you wouldn't be want to stack more than one Hurricane sometimes, because a lot of times you wouldn't be able to get more targets than just the 2 or 3 units in the front line. But now you can do more, so it's a nice quality of life buff. Spear Shojin is the biggest change. Spear used to be that if you had after the first cast, you would be able to just chain gun cast. They didn't like that, and they changed it to 5 mana per auto. This benefits high attack speed using units, as well as the one trait or origin Enlightened, which allows you to get your mana gain to increase, and essentially like gives you more mana based on your attack speed, and it's not relevant based on if you've hit your first ulti or not. This is really good for if you're running sharpshooters, or if you're running Enlightened, or if you're running just attack speed oriented units in this set. Miscellaneous, 5 seconds at the start of every playing phase. As we do each set, this will be removed in patch 10.20. Cool. Fixed a long time where Grievous Wounds was twice as effective as intended. I didn't realize that was a thing. Trap Cloud now has a different visual effect to help identify the cause of the unit stuns. Cool. Complete items can no longer drop from orbs. Really? I didn't even like this. It used to be like it's such a small percentage, like a 0.2% chance you would get a complete item. On average, if I play TFT all week, I would maybe see one every 2 or 3 weeks. Actually, crazy small chance. Special items can now drop from in-game PvE rounds, but only if you have at least one of that trait on the board. Oh, cool. So you can only get a spat if you have the trait, which is nice. So you can't get some stupid spat you can't use. Just the type of orbs and contents around all stages of the game. All percentage damage apps now stack additively instead of multiplicatively with one another by source. So items can still multiply traits, but not other items. Items can't multiply items. Makes it so item stacking is less oppressive. Cool. Okay. I'm not gonna go over the traits and origins. That's something that other people can cover, and not something that I really want to cover myself. I will say, for me, playing a lot of the TFT PBE a decent amount, I enjoy the chosen stuff as well. And generally, when you end up playing the new set, you're gonna be the go-to is like you get an early chosen, and then you keep the chosen until when you roll down again, whether that's level 6 or level 7, or just forever, the entire game. And the game itself is quite interesting that way. I like that the carousels are not Mort Dog, and I'm a little worried about the XP things to get to 789, but I have to play more to really see. Anyways, I'm good. That's my patch note rundown.